What if I told you that the person you kept defending, the one you kept forgiving, the one you kept making excuses for, never truly cared about you in the first place? Not in the way you thought. Because real care doesn't confuse you. Real love doesn't make you question your worth. And real connection doesn't leave you feeling drained, anxious, and alone. But here's the part that hurts the most. Sometimes the clearest signs they never cared were there from the very beginning. You just didn't want to believe it. And in the next few minutes, you're going to see the 4 behaviors that expose everything. Stay with me. Because number 4 changes how you see everyone. We don't always realize when someone is emotionally detached from us. Because manipulation isn't loud. It's subtle. It doesn't always look like betrayal. Sometimes it looks like attention. Sometimes it looks like love. Sometimes it even looks like care. But over time, patterns reveal truth. Psychology tells us something important. People don't show you who they are in one moment. They show you in patterns. So if someone repeatedly does these 4 things, it's not confusion, it's clarity, and you may not want to hear it, but it's better than living in emotional illusion. Let's go deep. 1. They only show up when it benefits them. At first, they seem present. They text you, they talk to you, they make you feel important. But notice something carefully. They only appear when they need something. When they're bored. When they're lonely. When they need validation. When they need attention. But when you need them, suddenly they disappear. They are busy, unavailable, distracted, or emotionally distant. This is not coincidence. This is selective presence. And here's the truth. Psychology confirms people show effort where they feel emotional investment. So if someone only shows up when it benefits them, they're not building a relationship. They're using access. And the hardest part, you start lowering your needs just to keep them close. But love should never require you to shrink yourself. 2. They lack emotional consistency. One day they care deeply. The next day they act like you don't exist. One moment they're warm, next moment they're cold. This emotional inconsistency creates something dangerous. Addiction to unpredictability. Your mind starts chasing the good version of them. You start thinking, maybe they're just stressed. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe they'll go back to how they were. But here's the truth. Consistent care does not disappear and reappear like a switch. When someone truly cares, their energy is stable. Not perfect, but stable. Psychology calls this intermittent reinforcement. It's the same mechanism that keeps people stuck in toxic emotional cycles. Because your brain starts craving the good moments, even if they are rare. And that is how emotional attachment forms without emotional safety. 3. They never take responsibility. Pay attention to this one carefully. Because this behavior doesn't always look toxic at first. It often looks like misunderstanding, miscommunication, or just a bad mood. But over time, a pattern starts to form. Every time there is conflict, it somehow becomes your fault. If they hurt you, they say you're too sensitive. If they ignore you, suddenly you're overthinking everything. If they lie or break trust, you're told you misunderstood the situation. Notice the pattern. It's never them. It's always you. They twist the situation just enough to shift the blame, so they never have to sit with discomfort, guilt, or accountability. And the more this happens, the more confused you start to feel. Slowly, something dangerous begins to develop. You start doubting your own memory. You start questioning your emotional reactions. You start replaying conversations in your head, trying to figure out what you did wrong, and eventually you start apologizing, even when you were the one who was hurt. This is not healthy communication. This is emotional deflection. And it's powerful because it doesn't just change the argument, it changes your perception of yourself. But people who truly care about you don't operate like this. They don't run from responsibility. They face it, even when it's uncomfortable. Because real care isn't just about good moments. It's about owning the impact of your actions, during the hard ones too. At the end of the day, if someone consistently refuses to take responsibility, they are not protecting the relationship. They are protecting their ego. 4. They replace you without emotion. This is the one most people ignore until it's too late. Because it doesn't feel like a red flag in the moment. It feels like shock. It feels like confusion. It feels like denial that slowly turns into acceptance. You expect sadness when they lose you. You expect effort to fix things. You expect at least some emotional reaction. Something that shows you mattered. But instead, they move on quickly. New people, new attention, new energy, new life. And it almost looks effortless. Like nothing heavy ever happened. Like no emotional bond was ever built. Like you were just a chapter they closed without hesitation. And that's where it starts to hurt deeply. Because you realize something you didn't want to accept. You were emotionally invested, but they were emotionally replaceable. And that contrast creates confusion in your mind. You start replaying everything. The conversations, the memories, the moments you thought meant something. You try to find proof that you mattered as much as you felt. But here's the psychological truth that most people don't hear clearly enough. People don't replace what they value deeply. They replace what they were never fully attached to in the first place. And that doesn't always mean you were worthless or unimportant as a person. It means the connection was not mutual in emotional depth. It means you were building something real, something meaningful, something long-term in your mind. While they were operating on convenience, comfort, and temporary emotional access, you were investing depth, consistency, and loyalty. While they were investing availability, attention, and ease. And when convenience ends, so does their attachment. That's why they can move forward without looking back. Not because you didn't matter at all, but because they were never rooted in the same emotional soil you were. And this is the part that changes everything. Closure doesn't always come from their explanation. Sometimes it comes from their behavior. Because when someone truly values you, losing you creates impact. It creates resistance. It creates emotional weight. But when there is no weight, there was never real depth on both sides. And once you see that clearly, you stop chasing closure from people who already showed you the answer through how easily they left. If you recognize these patterns, don't rush to anger, don't rush to revenge, and don't rush to self-blame. Instead, see it clearly, because clarity is freedom. Not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some people are just reflections of what you were willing to tolerate. And once you see the truth, you stop chasing emotional confusion, you stop over-explaining your worth, and you start choosing people who choose you back. Because real care is simple, it's consistent, it's accountable, it's mutual, and anything less was never truly care at all.